we are able to connect and not get any kind of error messages. So it says that we're live. So here we go. So happy Friday, guys. There we go. So happy Friday. Glad that the internet is working in our favor, right? Excited to connect with you guys and have you guys hear another amazing transformation story by another amazing woman in my community. So my friend that I'm bringing on today on this beautiful Friday is my friend Adri. I met Adri 6 years ago in this incredible community, and number one, she is my Scorpio sister, so we are both Scorpios, which I always knew there was something about her that attracted me to her presence, her energy, and I feel like there are two types of Scorpios, right? There's just the crazy, we both have the same kind of energy, but there's like the loud Scorpio and the more simmer Scorpio, right? And I feel like she is the yin to my yang when it comes to that energy. Although we're both Scorpios, she's better at making you feel calm, and I feel like I'm a little bit extra. So I met her 6 years ago, and from the moment I met her, there was something that drew me to her. I heard her share her story for the first time, and I just felt so empowered. She is now a mama of 4. Like I shared in my story, she had a baby at the same time that I did. We got to be pregnant together. We got to be fit moms together. And one of the things that I've always loved about her is not just her energy. She has such an amazing heart, and she's such just a light force and an energy. There's something about her, and I just love the way that she was just one of those strong examples for me about being a mom, being able to not only be a boss, not only to be a full-time employee, but being able to manage all of those things and still be an amazing mom. So she is definitely mom goals. She's definitely one of my mom inspirations through this journey, and seeing her in action, and not only being an incredible mom and partner, but to see her being this amazing pillar in our community and an inspiration and showing us what's possible, basically, is what I saw in her. And through connecting with her and just growing our friendship and our relationship, I truly value her. I truly value the person that she is and the person she is in my life. So I wanted to bring her on because she just has such an amazing story. And like I said, she is here to inspire all of these mamas. She is just amazing, and I love her, and I'm excited for her to share her story. So let me know when if I sent you the invite. Yes. All right. It worked. Are you frozen or am I frozen?
I don't know. I was just asking if it was me or you. I don't know.
I can hear you. It might just be my phone. Cool.
Okay. Awesome.
All
Hi.
right. So my friend, I want you to share your story, and I'm sure you watched this before. So as you're talking, I'm listening, and I'm gonna bring up some things that you're talking about that I feel people can really get value out of. So please share your story. You're amazing. Let's go.
All right. Awesome. So, hi guys. I heard a little bit of Cindy introducing myself, and I'm like, who's she talking about? She might have added a little fluff, but I'm here for it. It's always nice to hear others introduce you, because sometimes we don't step into our own power, which is something that I'm 41 girls and guys, and whoever's joining. Next month I'll be 41, and I'm barely like, fuck, you're a badass. Step into that shit. So it's never too late. Moral of the story is never too late to just rediscover yourself and keep working on yourself. So as Cindy mentioned, when I started on this journey, guys, I was a mom of 2. I was super depressed. I just didn't really understand about health and nutrition. I didn't know any of that. But my sister introduced me to the product and the business at the same time. At the time, I was a social worker. I still love that field, which comes hand in hand with what we do, which is helping people, right? And so I lacked energy. So I was like, you know what? I really love what I'm doing. I'm not ready to do business because I didn't believe, honestly, I didn't believe that I knew how to sell. Because as you guys know, when you think salesperson, it's scary, right? So you're like, I don't even know where to start, but I will try the product. I wanted to support her and I wanted to kind of like, let her know, like, hey, I got you. So, guys, as soon as I started on the product, I felt incredible. I didn't realize how depressed I was because I just figured it came along with motherhood. It's kind of sad. I suffered from postpartum with my first baby, and I think it lingered on to my second pregnancy. But I don't know if you guys know, back in 2005, when I had her, it really wasn't like a thing. Like postpartum wasn't something you spoke about or even knew about. So I didn't realize I had that. But when I started having all this energy, I'm like, something's not normal because I have energy, but I still felt sad, right? So with that, guys, I mentioned that because it's just been a whole journey of like just beautiful awareness with nutrition, right? I started on the product. I always wanted to lose 15 pounds. I didn't know how though. I tried all these crazy diets. I think it was like the lemonade diet where you like had all like lemonade for like pounds. I was like, hell yeah, I didn't even last an hour, right? So and I tried all these crazy things, but I never succeeded. But with Herbalife, the shakes tasted amazing. And I'm like, are you kidding? All I have to do is take 2 shakes a day, one meal and 2 healthy snacks. I felt like that was easy. That was easy for to do. So I started doing that and I lost 15 pounds. I felt sexy as hell. And I just felt really good. And I started telling my sister, I kept sending her damn thinking like I'm totally like missing out on I thought it was a month. At that time, $500 for me meant life changing experiences because you guys don't understand. I was a single mom of 2 kids. Social work, if you know anything about that field, they pay. I think McDonald's probably pays more than an entry level social worker. So it's kind of sad. So I was making what a McDonald's work, which there's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. I'm just saying, you're thinking bachelor's degree social work, you should be making more money. You're making $15 an hour. So I didn't have money to even take my kids to McDonald's, which is the funny thing because I couldn't afford to buy them Happy Meals. I couldn't afford to go to the bookstore and buy them books. Like there's just so many things that I could not afford. And it wasn't about being able to spoil them. I just wanted to feel like I got you as a parent. Like as a parent, you just want to be able to say you want that book, you can get that. So I thought, dude, I can make an extra $500 with this. Let me try it. I invited friends and family to a shake party, coworkers. And that day, guys, I made an extra $400 retail profit. And I thought, what the hell? This is wild. I felt rich. I was like, I don't even know what to do with myself. An extra $400 a month was life changing. Fast forward, guys, I just kept being a good student. And that's the only thing I really knew how to do is I really only knew how to do what you told me to do. So that was what I think became easy about this company. I'm also, which is like a yin and yang to that, since you said that word, is like, I'm also, it's like a don't tell me what to do type of girl. But I wanted and I needed to make extra money. So if my coach, which was my sister, would tell me you cannot miss any events, I would go. And as I learned when I went to the events, I was very inspired. So I think that's why I kept going back because I started dreaming. I didn't even know that I was allowed to dream. I didn't know that I can have big dreams. I didn't know that I can want a lot of things that were like out of my like vision, right? So with that we started a thing called Team Beauty, and it became such a beautiful movement to where we started to learn about self-love and empowerment, and that to me was life changing because I didn't know how much we needed to love ourselves in order for not only for us to receive love, but to be able to identify love when you have it in front of you, right? I like I mentioned, I was had two kids, but I did meet somebody along the way who I think was God sent because he was just so amazing, complete opposite of me. But he showed me to like slow down. I only knew like how to like fight my way through relationships, and not in the physical sense, but like don't tell me what to do type of attitude. And with the transformation I was having in my own journey with Herbalife and meeting this person, it was just such a beautiful alignment that I'm just like in awe with the way everything worked out in regards to that. So I think that that made it easy for me, and I'm not saying that's everybody's story, but it made it easy for me to like go full force into growing mentally because guys, I don't know what it was, but there's something that like when I was little, if you guys know my sister, she's super powerful entrepreneur. She's one of our leaders. She's incredible, right? But growing up, you know, my parents had different expectations of us. So like when my dad, he would look at her, he would be like, "You're gonna have a business, you're gonna be successful, you're gonna like do all these things," right? I think unknowingly he was empowering her. And with me, he was like, "You're gonna go out and get a job, and you're gonna go out and get a husband and get married." And I think that always stuck with me subconsciously. I don't think that intentionally he meant to say that, but I always thought like I can't do big things. I can't have big dreams. Like it's almost like he kept me down. Not too long ago, we asked him like, why did you say that? We were laughing because I'm like, bro, like you kept me down when I can have a business too, you know? And he's like, no, you know, they're like old Hispanic parents. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I just know that you were always so afraid and you were always so like we couldn't tell you anything because you were like panicked. So I didn't want to stress you out. Like I just wanted you to be like, it's gonna like I wanted to give you a small task so that you wouldn't stress out. And I just thought like, oh my gosh, that's crazy how, you know, unknowingly as parents we say things that like affect our kids for the rest of their lives, right? So now I say all these things because you're like thinking, well, I thought his life was about weight loss and all this, but like, dude, you have no idea how everything affects everything. Because if you don't even believe that you can have, you know, the house or you can have the perfect, not, there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, but the healthy marriage, that you can have the body, the whatever, right? Then if you really do the work and once you start to really dig in, it's all coming from inside, right? I'll tell you, I did a bikini competition in 2006. And this is like when we were barely exploring self love and all that. And I like looking back, I'm like, can I look like that again? Please, that'd be great. But in that moment, that day, I even was such a mean person to my sister, right? Like if it was her fault. Because I was not happy with what I was seeing. And if you guys see the picture, I looked amazing. Like I almost had abs, you know, and but it wasn't good enough for me. And then that's when I discovered that it doesn't matter. And you guys have seen some really beautiful, beautiful people that are just ugly, right? It doesn't matter if I have the legs, the arms, the six pack, and everything. If I'm not okay on the inside, if I don't work on myself on the inside, and not just self love, but like as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, then I'm never going to be happy with my physical results. So that's why, like with our 21-day challenges and all that, guys, we really try to combine both that. And I think and I hope you guys see that we do it intentionally because we understand we've been through the journey before we even brought people in, so we know the power and the longevity you'll have in your health journey if you really do them hand in hand. So I don't want to hear about, oh, I don't have time to read the book, or I don't have time to plug in, because it's really not, and it could last. I'm just saying, for me, it wouldn't have lasted had I not had, a Sandy in my life, an Alex in my life, somebody who is empowering me to be a better version of myself. So I have so much, but I'll let you chime in, and then we can go.
No, I love that. It's perfect because literally, like you're saying, you said that maybe someone joined in thinking we're going to talk about weight loss because we're coaches, but no, the reality is that's why we have these amazing 21-day challenges, because we want these women that are joining us to understand that if you want, you said it right there, if you want results for life, you have to do the mindset and the inner work. You can't have the outer transformation, permanent outer transformation, permanent results for life if you're not doing the mindset work and the inner work. And I'm glad you brought that up because we've been doing this together for 6 years, and I've seen that transformation in you. And I love that you also came to that realization, right, that you have to work on the inner. And I know we've all had that moment because we've done competitions, right? And if you can really quick share what your experience the last competition we did, because it was such a completely different Adri that stepped on the stage, and what happened?
Oh my gosh. So I'll tell you, like, it's so funny because I always do this shit to myself. I said the first competition, I'm gonna do it. And like I said, I had amazing physical results. But like the whole time, I'm kicking and screaming and giving my coach shit, my sister, right? Like, she doesn't need to take my shit, but I just literally like a brat. And it was all my inner, like, who do you think you are going on, right? So then I, of course, puked it out to other people. The last competition I did was 2018. And honestly, the whole time, it was also around the time that I was planning my wedding. So it was a beautiful alignment because I literally the whole time meditated in regards to like what it was going to look like me stepping on stage. And I'm not talking about, oh, I'm gonna win this, or I'm gonna look bomb. Like, it was just, how was I gonna feel, and if something went wrong, how was I gonna handle it? And if I didn't, if like, how was I not gonna compare myself to others? Like, it was all visualization, as alongside me obviously doing the workouts, following the meal plan, all that stuff. The reason why I did that was because I really, if you guys have ever done something to the point like a competition, or even, it doesn't even need to be a physical transformation like school or something that you're like, whoa, that really tested my mindset. Competitions will really test your mindset, right? And I understood that, having done some in the past, that I wanted to be like, when I got on stage that day, I wanted to leave it all on the stage, in the sense of like, I'm so proud of myself. I really wanted to just be proud. It wasn't about, placing. It wasn't about honestly, and I mean, like, honestly, it wasn't about the trophy. I just wanted to be like, well, damn, you did this again. Like, good for you, because it's not an easy thing to do, right? Especially if you've done it in the past. To do it a second time, you really think about it, because you're like, do I really want to put myself through that again? Kind of like if you've finished a master's program or a bachelor's program, or if you've done any type of programs that require like a lot of intense, like dedication. For you to say like, let me do it again, you're kind of like, I don't know, just, that was hard. So I really worked on my mindset and me being okay with whatever happened that day. And I say that because, the first time around, like, even the weather bothered me. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, it's not, you know what I mean? And so many things can bother you and steal your joy, and steal the moment for you to celebrate yourself and allow people to celebrate you, because that feels weird. I don't know how to receive sometimes. And I was in a space of like, you know what? Just allow it. If people say you look good, say thank you. Don't say, well, I could have done better. Or like, well, no, look at this. You know what I mean? So that's where I was in that day. I honestly, we all showed up. We were having such a great time. I mean, we had an amazing group with us. We were taking we owned the place. Everybody was like, what kind of energy is coming off of these girls, right? And I ended up winning first place. Like that was, and I honestly think I should have taken overall, but I got robbed. Because anyways, but but it was just fun. It was fun, and I took first place, and I'm like, dude, I never even came for this, but to have that recognition, I think it was like a more like a self win for me, because I had come, like Sunny said, a long way from the first time to that time. And it was just beautiful.
And it was, and the energy was just so different, and that starts with us, right? As leaders, we're coaches, but we were doing this with all of our clients, right? And how powerful the experience was, and we left that impression in an environment that was not normally in a very competitive environment. So the fact that we left that impression that, wow, women can come together, and we were like, duh, that's what we're all about, right? That was so powerful, and it was it's going to be an experience for a lifetime, and I'm just so glad that I got to do that with you. And the girls that did it with us, right, to this day, they have that amazing shared experience, empowered they felt, and it was just amazing. So I wanted to, so as you've gone through your journey, looking back at past Adri, I want you to share what 3 tips you would share, 3 tips of advice that you would share with past Adri.
Okay, so like I was sharing earlier, I'm gonna get emotional.
It's okay.
It's not always just about the physical, right? Like I'll tell you myself, I've created so much pain for no reason, you know? And I've been the last couple weeks in this like engulfment of understanding emotional intelligence for myself, because I feel like it's so important, right? So my kids, they do therapy, and I was talking to my daughter's therapist, and she was telling me how I needed to teach her, we're gonna work on emotional intelligence. And then I'm thinking like, I need to work on emotional intelligence. And not just for myself, but like for like, yeah, I'm working on my inner child trauma, blah blah blah. But how can I break the cycle with me, right? So what I want to tell my past self is honor yourself. And you guys can all like tell me if I'm on the right path here, but we all have this inside of us, right? That tells us like, that's not right. It doesn't feel good. Don't do that. Or yes, do that. Intuition. Yes. I've never listened to my intuition like I should have. Why? Because I've always wanted to be the good little Adri. Like I've always been a good girl. Even though I've never really been a good girl, if you really think about it, because I was always like hiding, doing all these things that wasn't okay with my parents. But I wanted to be the good girl that they wanted me to be. And that comes along with like the way I look, the way I act, the things I do for my family. So what I would tell my past self is learn emotional intelligence like yesterday. Understand boundaries, and sometimes you need to upset people to make yourself happy. And I say that because I think a lot of us on here may be Latinas, or maybe in that. I think the previous generation is very much like that, to where it's like, it doesn't matter what your feelings are. If that's your family, you do it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that's not right. That's not okay. And I say that because I tell you personally, that's been a lot of my pain. And it has nothing to do with my parents, what they did or they didn't do. It's things that I allowed to happen. And so in turn, I'm like carrying all this shit and everybody's living their best life. You know what I mean? So I I don't know if I'm making sense in that, but I would say understand emotional intelligence, because what ends up happening if you don't understand how to articulate how you feel or how to say, like, even though it's uncomfortable, you end up throwing up on people, and then it ends up being the circle of like you're still the bad guy because you just threw up on me even though you were right, you know. So take the time to do the work. Don't just go through life so fast, because and I don't think we're told that, because we're in our 20s and it's like party time, blah blah blah. But take the time to do the work. I got married when I'm 24, when I was 24, and I got divorced a few years after that, and I didn't take the time to do the work again, you know. So I say, if you, my young Adri that are listening, take the time to do the work, even though it's uncomfortable, because comfort doesn't bring anything good, and we've all hear that, right? But it's true. And you are strong. I Adri then is strong no matter what everybody thinks. I think that what happened is my parents, and I say that because I'm working a lot with my inner child, and I think what happened was is I am a very emotional person, and I am a very empathetic person. So I felt other people's pain, and them not understanding that, they took it as I was weak. Like, oh, you can't tell her anything because she's like, you know, and they wanted to protect me and like not let me step into my power. But like, an adult now, and you know, understanding that they didn't understand, I'm in a place where I've forgiven that. But it's like, okay, now you need to take responsibility and step into that power and stop playing the victim to the narrative that you've had all your life. So because there needs to come a time when we need to be responsible, right? I can no longer say, well, my dad said that when I was 7. Like, girl, get over it. Do the work and be at, like, not get over it, because that's, you know what I mean, but like forgive and move and work through it. And I think that that's literally, I'm like, I always say this to myself, like, it's all good, girl, you're 41, like you're gonna live your best 41-year-old self, because I feel so powerful right now, Sandy. Like, all these things that I'm talking to you about is things that I've been working through the last month. And it's like, why? I don't know why this awareness is happening to me, but like, I wish you could see how light I feel, because I'm no longer carrying that. And it's been years of work, right? Because that's how long it's taken me to get here. So we're never done peeling the onion. By the way, don't eat onions because apparently they're gonna get you sick. But you're never done peeling the onions. So I'm excited. And with that, guys, that's one thing for you to know. Like, if you lost the weight, you feel sexy, and you are like, dude, I feel my best. Why do I still feel like there's shit going on? Because we're like complex people, and we need to continue to work on ourselves, right? So even if you don't have kids, and that's my incentive, like, not my incentive, my motivation, that like, I feel like, well, shit, I don't want to continue to like carry these things with me that I'm carrying it and passing it on to my children unknowingly. And then don't wait for the right time. The right time is now. The right time is now. And I say that when you asked me to say that to my past self, I started laughing, because I'm like, there's so many things that I didn't do because it wasn't perfect. Well, I didn't have the perfect body. I didn't have a perfect place to wear that outfit. As simple as that. I didn't have the perfect whatever. And now I'm thinking, like, well, now you're 41. It would have been cool to do all those things when you're 20. You know what I mean? Like, those things that like we take for granted. And I think that for me, it was just letting myself know, like, there's the right time is now. Like, live in the now. I was always living in the past or fearing the future, that I feel like I missed the present. Does that make sense? I missed the
Yes.
whole present because I was so busy worried. And I think that, empaths, we worry. But like, if you're aware, you can slow your mind and be like, relax and be in the now.
Powerful. A few things that came up for me that are important to highlight that you said, and maybe someone didn't get it clearly, but healing your inner child. So many people don't realize that in our late 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s, when we're going through life crisis, we're going through things, and we're maybe issues in relationships, not being able to get along with people, just your overall character and how you see your life in the world and how you show up has every bit to do with not healing from your childhood traumas. The people you attract into your life, if they're negative, it all goes back to your childhood and the things that you witnessed. And sometimes we think, right, growing up with parents who are in a healthy relationship or somewhat healthy relationship, we think, well, what trauma did I really have? But trauma could be something as simple as, like you shared, your dad speaking to you in a certain way to protect you because he felt you were vulnerable, and then you creating that story. Everything that we become comes from the way we grow up, the things we experience, all of our childhood traumas that we need to heal from. And I feel like so many people live their life not understanding what circumstances or even having victim mentality. Victim mentality comes from how you were raised, how you grew up, what you experienced. And so doing the work to heal that and be okay with yourself and love yourself, like, how powerful that is, because now you as a mother, you are now able to show up differently for your children. You are now able to show up so powerfully that it empowers them, right? So I wanted to ask you, how has working on your healing, your inner child, healing your inner traumas, your inner child, how has that affected your relationships with your children, specifically your daughters, right, as a woman? Because I feel I've seen both of your daughters grow up, and there's just such a complete, like, they're two completely different people, and I feel that it is a direct reflection of you, how you've impacted them and where you were in your life when, with your oldest, right, how she was raised, and then your youngest, this little rock star. She's just a fire. Yeah. My girl, right there. And the beauty of that, right? The beauty of that, because I tell you all the time, like, when I think of Sophia, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I get emotional. I'm like, that's gonna be Frida. Like, her energy, her spirit is just, and so the contrast. I mean, your oldest is a beautiful and amazing. She's an amazing little woman. But I know that there's a contrast in that. So how has you working on yourself, how's that affected your relationships with your daughters?
There's just been so much healing with Andrea, because you want to go back in time and do things differently, but you can't. And I've learned and that I need to just do my best now, because I used to, like, get stuck in that and, like, feel really shitty, and I still get emotional because I'm like, damn, like, and it was not, none of it was intentional. And so it makes it easy for me to, like, acknowledge that and forgive myself. But I think one of the things that's tough with Andrea is she's very, like, she's working through her own issues when it comes to, like, her dad and the divorce. And I don't know if I've ever shared with you, but he's dealing with substance abuse, and he basically abandoned them. So there's, like, a whole layer of, like, she's working through. But I think what helps is that recently she's been very open with me. Me being able to like sit down and just talk to her and be like, how do you feel? What's going on? Like, I know like it bugs her because she's like a teenager, right? So she's like, oh my God, here you go. But I've noticed that like if I like just sit there and I'm just kind of like, so what do you like? What are you doing? You know, just hanging out. She'll start talking to me. She'll start telling me like, oh mom, so the other day, like blah blah blah. So I think that me working on myself and healing my own self, I feel like it's helping me kind of like just respect her journey, because I feel like I've given her tools. And it's so funny because I've given her the meditation tools, I've given her the self-love tools, I've given her all the things that we've learned, right? Because she's kind of was in the background of all that. She's just so quiet. We didn't even know she was there, you know? That lately she's like, I'm gonna go outside, there's a full moon, I'm gonna meditate. And I'm like, can I get some credit for that? She's like, Mom, I read it somewhere. And I'm like, no. And I just stay quiet. And I'm like, okay. But I'm thinking like, no, she's listening. She's listening and she's watching everything. So I think that, you know, if you guys have a teenager and there's a lot, I mean, with every teenager, right? And there's a lot of like things going on, especially right now. It's hard to understand because I mean, it's a whole nother generation. I think if you continue to show up as your best self, like literally your best self, and don't take anything they say personally, because sometimes they say some hurtful shit, you know, shit we couldn't get away with our parents, you know. But like honestly, when she says stuff like, well, I don't know, whatever she says, I literally just go back to the 4 agreements and I don't take it personal, because I'm like, no, I need to like acknowledge that I'm doing my best, you know. So as long as you as a parent, you're working on yourself, you're doing your best, and you're not like completely like involved and refuse to work on yourself, then that's all you can do. And like do stuff in front of them. And I tell myself I have 2 years with her. She's 16, and I know I have longer than that. She's probably going to be in my house forever, but I'm thinking like, let me just assume I have 2 years with her, because she wants to move out and she wants to live her best life, like in good things, you know. And I'm like, these next 2 years, she's going to do everything I say, in a sense of like, let's go to a picnic. Let's go to a museum. Like, let's sit down and meditate together. Like, I'm really going to take advantage and like it directly and indirectly just feed her like self-love, self-acceptance. And I'll tell you, she just went to homecoming and I was like, let's get your makeup done, let's get you like a beautiful dress, let's do all these things. And she was like, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to get my makeup done. I think it looks weird when somebody else does it. I want to use whatever I have in my closet. Like, she ended up using one of my old dresses, and I'm like, I literally had to like slow myself, and I was like, don't be that mom. Don't be that mom that like puts her own beauty perception on her. She's very much like, I don't need to wear makeup to look pretty. Like, and it's not so much the confidence. I think she's just very like, I don't want to like be like fit into what the magazine says. Like, I'm very like, okay, because I'm thinking like, well, what do you want a mom like me that like, come on, let's go get the makeup done. And that's not even truly who I am, but I'm like, I can do it now. Come on, let's do other things I couldn't do, and that's not the experience she wants. So it's also like that work that I've done, that I'm like, step back and just
I'm taking notes because
yeah, that's like a new thing for me. And I was even sharing with Carlos, I'm like, dude, it took all of me to just step back, give her a hug and tell her she looked beautiful, and just not put what I felt her experience needed to be. That was
that's
hard,
powerful.
because I'm thinking like,
That's right
of
there.
course she wants the da 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 da. She didn't want it, and that's hard,
And
because you're
yeah,
like, I
and
want to give it to you, take it, you know.
I think that's one of the things that as we grow up and Like, my baby's still a baby, but I already, from hearing you guys, from being around you guys, I understand, like, they are already their own little people, and they're going to do what they want to do. And the best thing that we can do as parents and in giving them that human experience is to allow them to just be. We are here to take care of them and protect them, but we're also here to allow them to find their own way. And that's I know. I'm already thinking, like, oh my gosh, you're telling me she's not gonna like what I like? What do you mean?
And it's not for liking, because she wore my dress and she wore my shoes, but I'm like, it's almost Cindy, like the first time they tell you they don't want to be a princess anymore. You know what I mean? Like for Halloween, or I don't want to dress up what you want, Mom. I want to do my own thing. It's like, what do you mean? But I have all the cool ideas. Like, I know what's best for you.
I'm not there. Don't break my heart yet. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, that was a lesson that we just had, that I was like, I need to just let her, if she's happy, that's all I should care about. Exactly. Even though it looks nothing like I would have liked it to look, but if she's happy, and she walked out of the house like, bye, Mom. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, if she's happy, that's all I should care about. And that was hard. That was hard, even though, like, I mean, if you think about it, that should be our priority. But I mean, how many times did our parents not guide us in a way that you're like, no, but they're like, no, we know what's best for you, but deep down you're like, this isn't making me happy, but okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it goes back to the story you created in your head, that good, right, being the good daughter, being a good girl, meant you fall in line to the expectations of the people that you love.
Otherwise,
and that can
not being a good girl.
Yes. And I feel like that is such a common story. That's part of my story as well, right? I feel like anybody who's naturally an overachiever, that's our story, our narrative in our head. Like, we have to be good to almost get some kind of like acknowledgement. But you're right, it's about breaking those stories, and I'm glad that you had the opportunity to share, because I feel like it's super impactful. I love how we just started talking about other things. That's why I told you, like, let's just let it flow, because it is important. It's all important conversation, and I always feel like when it comes out, when it comes to light, it's because somebody needed to hear that. So I'm sure that somebody needed to hear what you had to say today, and it was so powerful. And I want to thank you for taking the time. I feel like you're amazing. You are one of the people in my life that I am so grateful for. Grateful for Herbalife for connecting us, because I feel we're kindred hearts. You are my sister, and I always make the joke, like, we're twin flames, because we're Scorpios and our husbands are Leos, and they have the exact same like kind of personality and just how they are. They're so calm, and it just allows us to be the fire and craziness that we are. So God bless them as well. But thank you, my friend, for connecting and sharing your powerful story. I am so excited for you, for your family, for all that you're creating and you're building, because you are just an unstoppable force. And I can't wait to see not only how you end the year, but what the new year is going to bring for you, because you are a badass with a good ass, and you're just so powerful, and I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you too, and this is so awesome. Thank you. I felt like this is what was in my heart the last month, so to be able to share it, I feel light. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys, and I hope that you guys received what was meant for you today, and what is not, let it go, and keep doing these. These are great.
Yes. I'm really excited. So they, for those of you guys watching, I am saving these on my feed, but it's almost like an introduction to what we have on Saturday. So Tea Talk is another amazing way for you to connect with all of these powerful women in our community. We're we're sharing stories, we're connecting on things that are happening, and the beautiful thing is that regardless of us being so different, there's always a common story that we all share, a common thing we're trying to heal from and move forward from. So it's so powerful to be able to have these and connect with these women and hear their story and find what inspires you through someone else's journey and someone else's story. So let's keep connecting. Let me know if you want to join our Saturday morning tea talks, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, Adri.
Have a happy Friday.
Friday, I got to go back to work.